Alright guys, I just wanted to show a quick video on how to wire up these 48 volt 1000 watt Woostar controllers. So I've got two crazy carts, one for me, one for my girlfriend. But basically what happened was I accidentally burned this one up for one, but two, I haven't ordered an XL motor for hers yet, and so I have this as a spare right now. And I'm not entirely sure how it got burned up. But I got one of those Cow 48 volt batteries. That's 14 amp hours. Not that the capacity matters that much. But tonight I had it wired up and somehow I burnt this up and I could smell like an electrical smell, and my switch didn't work. So I have it wired up so that when you switch it on, the light actually works. But I was just going to show how to do all this real quick. And so the diagram that they had posted the picture of on Amazon didn't actually work for me. I forgot which one they said was, well, I guess even on here, charging port. Hold on, sorry. One of these was the throttle. I forgot which one it was. But anyway, the blue and red one is the one you're going to need. Well, you're going to need several of them. So this, I'll just show you as best as I can. So these red and black ones, this one right here, is going to be from your power source. So I snipped it and I just used these little, I forget what these are called, but I'll leave a link to them on the Amazon, or I'll leave a link to my Amazon, or an Amazon link, I should say, to where I got these from, because they're nice quick connects. Obviously, if you can solder it and heat shrink it, it would be better. But in this instance, it worked out better for me because I accidentally burned this up, or at least I think I did. And so I'm going to swap it out. But anyway, for this, you're going to need this black and red wire, and you're going to need to snip it and somehow connect it to your battery source. So, 48 volt battery that I have sitting and charging right there. So I'm going to have to snip that, and that covers this one. And then this goes to the motor, so that's the blue and yellow wire, like this. And for that one, you can just take the motor directly and just push those pins in. Red goes with blue, black goes with yellow, just like that. And I would recommend that you somehow electrical tape this or something, just to make sure these don't touch metal or anything like that. So I would recommend that. And then the vast majority of these wires aren't used. But this is your throttle controller, so that's the red, black, green one. So red, black, green. And on the Woostar controller, if I can get the camera to focus, it says it's the derailleur. If I can show it. Okay, anyway, what you're going to have to do to make this plug and play is, if you see those two little lips right there, you got to snip them off. And I can show you what it looks like on here. Let me just put this down for a second and disconnect this. Alright. See how right here these edges are kind of snipped? I wish I could get it to focus better. But you just basically take a pair of like zip tie cutters or just flush cutters or something like that, and you can see the line where I cut them. You got to do that on here, and then it plugs right in. So I can kind of show you. And this is coming from the throttle. Lighting isn't the greatest, sorry. But you see that comes from the throttle, and it literally will plug right in. Let me see if I can. I wish I had a cameraman with me. But this will plug right in. And I know this isn't the greatest view, but there, now that I have it partially in. It's a little bit tight, but it'll plug right in, and it won't come out unless you press this down. So that is pretty awesome. and then I will show you how to wire the switch itself so that when you click on, this will actually come on. It'll be a fully functioning switch, basically. So what you'll need for this one is that's when you need the red and blue wire. See, just like that. So you're gonna need this red and blue one that says derailleur, which is kind of goofy, but you're gonna need to snip that and connect it somehow. And so the way I have them connected is once again just these. It'd be better if you use some sort of connector that isn't these, because these aren't always the best. They can come loose, and there's, you know, you're on a vehicle that vibrates a lot, and so you really want to solder these. But anyway, I don't have the greatest wires. These were just red spare wires that I have. So let me come around and show you guys this part. Okay, so there's a red wire in the middle. Let me grab a light to show you a little bit better. And this isn't the best production quality, and I apologize for that, but I figured I'd rather just get the information out there so that some of you new guys and stuff that are just trying to figure out how to do all this, it helps out hopefully. But the way I did it is this blue wire, it's kind of crossed, but the blue wire comes straight out into that middle of the switch, okay? Red wire coming out of the blue and red comes over, and it comes to the passenger side, or I guess the right side of the cart if you were to sit on it. But since we're looking at it the opposite way, would be my left right now. Okay, see that? So then the switch goes down. Okay, and that goes to the red wire, as you can see. Goes straight up into this right here. And then this blue wire right here goes up, and it touches that the middle of the switch. And then the ground, I'll follow this ground cable, will go to your battery's ground. And it's normally, it comes out as black, as you can't really see it, but right in front of my finger is a black wire, but all I had was red, which isn't good practice, but it's what I had. And so this will just go and connect with your battery. And so that's where you can do one of two things. So the way I did it was I used one of these 1 to 2 connectors, and so it'll put them all together, and that's what I used on that one. But yeah, that'll work. So I know that wasn't the cleanest video. I'll try and in the future, if you know this gets enough help or gets enough views and more of you need help with this and this wasn't clear enough, I apologize, it couldn't be more clear, but I mean, this wiring is kind of a jumbled mess right now. But if you know I get enough comments of where you guys need more help or wanting me to show this again in detail, I can do that, because I do have another crazy cart to wire up anyway. I just don't know when that'll be quite yet, because I need to get the funds to get another XL motor. And then in that video, I can also show you guys how I did cobalt batteries. So I had two 24-volt cobalt batteries that I hooked up in series. So when you hook two of the same battery voltages in series, it doubles the voltage, but your capacity stays the same. If you were to do it in parallel, it doubles your capacity, but voltage stays the same. And because we're running 48-volt batteries, or I mean 48-volt controller and 24-volt batteries, and you hook them in series, it'll make it a 48-volt battery essentially. And so that's what I was running for a while. I had 6 of these cobalt batteries, but if I'm being completely honest, if I were you, I'd just get one of those Cal batteries, because for that brief time that I did have that plugged in, the throttle response was way better than these 48-volt. But with that said, a 48-volt setup like this, hooked up to an XL motor, was way better than the stock 24-volt motor and even a 36-volt battery, which is a common beginner mod, because all you literally do is just snip the wires and you hook two 18-volt batteries in series and you connect that, which I did on my girlfriend's cart. But after having ridden a 48-volt battery with a 36-volt XL motor, this is just the way to go. I mean, if I'm being honest, I have hit tonight actually with that battery and a stock controller on my other crazy cart because I wanted to make sure the battery wasn't the thing that was bad. I put that battery on with a 24-volt controller and an XL motor on my other buddy's crazy cart, not my girlfriend's cart. I apologize. Anyway, he had the stock 24-volt controller in still and a 36-volt motor, and he was using Milwaukee batteries in series to make 36-volt battery. We put that 48-volt battery on there, which you can do on a 24-volt controller. You will just burn it out fairly rapidly, at least according to the forums. So he's actually ordering one of these 48-volt batteries tonight, and I told him he can use my Cobalt batteries. But anyway, it was quick. I mean, the 24-volt controller with a 36-volt XL motor and that 48-volt Cow MM, it was a little weird because when you would get on it, it was kind of twitchy. Like initially, it was like whereas when I used the Woostar controller and the 48-volt battery and the XL motor, it was fairly smooth. Now, I was able to hit 21 miles an hour with that setup. I feel like if I had this controller working, I probably could have done 23 miles an hour, and this is using the GPS on my phone. And I've considered going brushless, like the Jordy builds, or the Jordy builds kits and stuff like that, or the Taxi Garage ones. There's one other one out there that's pretty common. But I decided not to do that just because, for one, like all my buddies are using 24-volt stock, motor and 36-volt batteries, which gets you about 15 miles an hour maybe. Or they're running a similar setup to mine, or they're going to be running a similar setup to mine, which is the XL motor and 48 volts. And with that, they can only do maybe about 17 or 18. And then with that big behemoth versus these Cobalt batteries, it can hit about 21, 22. But regardless, like, I don't need to go faster. I've thought about it. There's a couple other advantages, like you don't really have to worry about the motor heating up because these motors do get hot. The brush motors do. But typically, like, my friends, they can't keep up anyway, and half the fun is riding with your friends. And so, like, if you guys are thinking about going brushless, like, yeah, it'd be really cool, and you can always turn the power down, but for me at this point in time, I just don't see it being worth, in excess of $400. Then again, like, that's, you can go pretty fast, and you can tune, you can tune it a little bit more, you can mess with the settings, you can get regenerative braking, but I don't need that because basically this controller is like $25, $26. One of these motors is like $100, and then batteries. So these batteries on Amazon are about $200. But even if you go with the brush motors, you still have to buy a battery, or a brushless motor. Sorry. Even if you go with like the Jordy builds or the Taxi Garage motors, you still have to buy that battery anyway. And so I'm in $130 between the motor and the controller, and obviously some time, versus $400, $500, $600 for a brushless setup that I won't be able to use with my friends anyway because they can't keep up with me, and typically we're riding pretty slow. I mean, they're maxed out, and I'm not quite maxed out, which is kind of nice because when we do tandems, I can be the guy in the back that keeps up or tries to stay with them. Not that we're really good at tandems. We'll try and post videos of our failures of tandems because we're still fairly new to crazy carts. But yeah, this is how to wire it up. Just a quick little, I guess it's not that quick because we're going on almost 15 minutes, but this is sort of my rant on how to wire this up. And like I said, if this gets enough views or enough people say they want a clearer video on how to do this, I can do it. This is just a quick one because it's already almost midnight and I'm rewiring this. I mean, right now it's just past midnight, so it's a Thursday technically, and on Friday we're gonna go out and ride. So I was gonna put this together, and then I figured since I'm putting this together real quick, I'll just give a a video, a down and dirty video on how to do this. It's really not hard, and I will say do this at your own risk because you're working with electricity and everything. Make sure your batteries are disconnected, and especially with lithium batteries, if they catch on fire, they're not going to go out. So if you don't know how to do some basic electrical work, get a buddy that can, or find someone that can, even if you have to pay them, I don't know, a case of beer, or, you know, $30 or however much they would charge for the 30 minutes that it took me to do it. Yeah, be safe. I will say I'm probably not the most qualified person to tell you how to do this, but it worked for me. I'm a mechanical engineer. I was able to figure out, and it was not very difficult. But hopefully this video makes it even easier for you guys because you know which wires to, you know, snip and then strip and connect. Versus me, I had to figure out the hard way that the way they were telling me to do it wasn't quite right. So, yeah, this was what worked for me. And if you guys have any issues, I can try and answer the questions as best as I can if you leave them in the comments. If not, there is a great Facebook group called Crazy Cart Modders that I would highly recommend that you join because they're pretty active and usually they're pretty great about answering all these questions. And they have, I mean, there's just crazy mods that they have. I mean, one guy, I don't know his name, but he came up with a 3D print file where you can put a tire on here and it looks like a spare tire. There was one guy that was talking about how he did a belted setup for this whole thing. I mean, there's just all kinds of cool stuff on there. So if you're not already part of that Facebook group, I would highly recommend that you join it if you have Facebook. And yeah, if I'm not able to answer your questions, I'm sure they will be able to. These crazy carts are a whole lot of fun, and they're super easy to maintain. I mean, not even maintain, but to fix. So a lot of times when, and this is going into another rant, but a lot of times when people post these things on Facebook and they say it's broken, typically it's because the lead acid batteries that came with them are completely dead. If you get new batteries for it, it's good to go again. And I should say stock setup, at least at my weight, because I'm at about 175 pounds, stock setup, I can do about 8 or 9 miles an hour, and that's if I'm tucking, you know, for less air resistance. Tonight with my setup, or with my buddy's setup, which is, you know, like I said earlier, XL motor, stock controller that came with these, and that battery, I was able to hit 21. If I feel like if I was able to use one of these controllers instead of the stock 24 volt controller, I could probably get another mile or two out of it, just because that other controller just seemed a little clickety and it was acting up kind of weird. But I guess we'll find out when I get this thing in and I go for a ride tomorrow. So yeah, you guys have a good one. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If I can't answer it, I'm sure the Crazy Cart Modders group on Facebook will be able to help. But I'll try to leave links to everything I used in the description, including that battery, which is the 14 amp hour 48 volt, this Woostar controller, and this XL motor. Those are the 3 things that I've done to this to make it faster. I guess I should make another video on this, but I'll just show you real quick. These casters make a huge difference. They ride way smoother, but I would recommend doing the battery controller and XL motor first, because these I got from, I'll have to post a link in the video because I don't remember off the top of my head. Turner casters, that's what it was. So I got them from Turner, and I'll leave a link in the description, but they were still $150, I want to say, and then the like another $10 or $15 shipping and tax, of course. But before I did that, I started modding all of this stuff over here first because I wanted to go faster. With that said, that is way more comfortable than the stock wheels, and once you start going faster, you're going to wear out your rear wheels pretty quick. So this is also another upgrade, definitely worth it. The Taxi Garage ones were like $260, so this was a little bit more than half the price, but I got these. I have experience with 3 sets of these. I bought a set of these for myself originally, which are these ones. These are my original ones. They've held up pretty well so far. And then I bought a set for my best friend's birthday as a birthday present to him. And I bought a set for my girlfriend's crazy cart. So I've bought 3 sets of these already. And so far, they've been pretty awesome. Knock on wood. Not that I have wood, so knock on metal, I guess. But yeah. So this is the route I went, and I'd recommend it. You guys have a good one.